Hey everyone, this is Juan Carlos Baronecci here, and I am your co-host for the Road to 10K podcast. This podcast is going to be exclusively a Goldbar Real Estate Network exclusive. And we're going to be going ahead and partnering up with Ricky Carruth, one of the biggest real estate coaches in the country, to bring you in new content every single week. Just to give you a little backstory on myself, I got into the industry May of 2016. That's when I first got my license. My second year, I was able to win the Double Gold Award with Keller Williams, the current company at the time. And I went out there and I said, you know what? I want to go out there and build my own company. So I did. I got my broker's license. I was ready to open up an office. And no one told me the amount of issues I would encounter as a broker owner. When you factor in the expenses, when you factor in the amount of money and time and regulation, and now you have to go out there and build an office with agents and you have to support them. And it was just so much of a headache. So it was one of those things where I decided to partner up with eXp. It was May of 2018. And then I came across Ricky. Me and him partner up at eXp around, I would say April of 2020. And from then it's been history. We've been able to build an organization together of close to 600 agents across 6 different countries in the world. And we have one goal. That goal is to get to 10,000 agents worldwide. And we know we're going to get there. It's just a matter of time. So we're creating this podcast. It's called Road to 10K because we want to document the journey of us going from 600 to 10,000 agents over the next couple of years. And in the process of doing so, we're going to be interviewing some of the biggest heavy hitters in real estate, including top CEOs and industry leaders who are absolutely changing the game. So I want to answer to one question. And that question is, what does the future of real estate look like? And for that, we're going to be interviewing these guests who are going to give us that insight and knowledge that you could take away from to go out there and help you scale your business. So for today's guest, I think we have one of the best guests to start off the actual podcast with. Why? Because he's the founder of my company. It's called eXp, and his name is Glenn Sanford. Glenn Sanford, who is officially a billionaire with a B, is one of those people that is building an empire and yet is still extremely humble when it comes to his main goal, which is really to help as many people as possible. Glenn started eXp back in 2008. He's going to describe his entire journey with us, why he started eXp, how he even came across eXp, and what the goal was, and really what the future is, where the vision is that he wants to take it. So if you're someone that is in real estate and you want to learn how to go out there and build a massive real estate company, this podcast, this video is for you. So we're going to go ahead and get the interview started, but please do me a favor. Follow us on YouTube at Goldbar Real Estate Network. Follow us on Instagram at Goldbar, and make sure to subscribe to the Road to 10K podcast. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me personally, Juan Carlos Baronecci at Latino Agent on Instagram. Hope all of you enjoy the show.
So you're down in Miami speaking at 10X this week, huh?
I am, yeah. So Sunday morning at 9 a.m., I'll be actually on stage, I think 30 to 45 minutes, Grant, and I will be having a one-on-one talking about, eXp, the journey, so the platform. He's become really, really enamored with the eXp model, especially now that he knows it. Initially, we started talking back in early January, and then and we'd circled around a little bit to have a potential conversation maybe a year or so ago, but never actually talked. But once he started to understand the model, he's like, initially it was just gonna be, hey, let's get you involved with the spokesperson role and let's do this, let's do that. And he started looking at the model. He goes, man, I want to build a revenue share line. I'm like, well, you're gonna have to get licensed. He goes, oh man, well, I'm doing all this other real estate stuff. I said, well, Elena could get licensed, and so I guess Elena and Grant were sitting together at the same time, and Elena's like, I'll get my license. And so she literally passed her exam on Saturday, her national exam. So we're in the process of bringing on the newest agent. Will eventually be Elena for a moment, and then there'll be somebody else be the newest agent.
So Glenn, it's incredible because you're at 47,000 agents worldwide. I think we're in about 11 countries at this point, and it sounds to me like you're still attracting yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I don't. The last person I sponsored into the company was Debbie, my significant other. So everything else I do is on behalf of others. So in this particular case, I was supporting Lisa Copeland, who had a relationship for the last 10 years with Grant and Elena, good friends with Elena. And so I supported her in the agent attraction process. But I've kind of made it at this point, I have the CEO role. I don't want to be in competition with any of our agents and brokers. And so I just want to support anybody who's out there attracting. So I had conversations yesterday with probably 2 different attraction conversations with different people that had some big players that they're trying to get over the hump. And so I probably have 1 or 2 of those calls a day supporting agents. And about me personally, I've just made it. I think prior to that, it was Ian Marshall, who I've known since 2005. So he ultimately brought in Gene Frederick indirectly. So he, Kerry Lucas, Elizabeth Riley, and then Gene Frederick, and of course that blew up that whole portion of the organization. And but those are my last 2 recruits, and then the other, probably outside of that, all the people that were with me in the beginning, Dale Kreiser, Brian Colhane, and some others that are still on my front line from day one.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So real quick, I just want to touch on this for just a second because I want to get your take on this whole, because there's so many agents worried about Zillow taking over kind of thing. I just want to get your quick take on that situation.
Yeah. So if one, I think it's wise to be a little paranoid of Zillow, because I think it will change up your decision-making matrix for you as an agent. Because I think what you want to do is you want to be aligned with a company that ultimately can in fact have your back. And there's probably only 2 or 3 of them that are out there in my mind that could have your back as an agent. eXp certainly in my mind is the number one, not just because it's the company I started, but because as one national brokerage platform, that we don't have to deal with all the issues that franchises have to deal with. We can actually pivot. We can create new products and services. In the last 2 years, we launched a platform called Express Offers so that you can generate your own iBuyer style offers. We bought an IDX company, which was going to create a really great consumer experience. We've got some interesting companies we're talking to right now about having our own exclusive data products that consumers will be interested in. So we're working on sort of some things that would make us one of those sites that consumers would use. But I think if you're not with the right company, you'll eventually need to move because the company you might be with will maybe out of business because of the types of pivots that Zillow continues to make.
Yeah. But you don't see Zillow monopolizing the industry or wiping out agents or all these things everybody's saying out there.
No, I think the challenge that I see is that Zillow would have to in fact start to employ agents themselves in order to really change the entire landscape of real estate. Now they may get 5 to 10% on the iBuyer side of the equation. They may end up getting another 5 to 10% of real estate transactions going through their platform. So maybe they end up being 20% of the marketplace in some capacity, but they'll still be using agents that are affiliated with other brokerages for most all of that business. And if you think about, it's buying a house or selling a home is not the same as ordering an Uber. Once you've done, you order an Uber once and you don't need, anybody to hold you through the process or help you through the process or download the app or whatever. It's pretty easy. You push a button, you get a car, takes you to where you want to go. Buying a home, selling a home, it's an expensive proposition. Even me as somebody who's been in real estate now for 19 years, I still wouldn't buy or sell a home without the assistance of an agent, even though I certainly know the industry. There's just too many things to keep track of. And, I'm a busy guy. There's lots of busy people out there. Why the heck would you want to accidentally make a mistake if you can have a trusted professional help you through the process?
Now, here I was thinking I was doing amazing in the industry. You tell me you've been in the industry for 19 years, the same amount of time as me. You're on the other side of this thing. I'm over here. Where did I go wrong?
Well, here was kind of the thing for me. If eXp had existed when I was an agent, when I was sort of evaluating what I was going to do with my career, I wouldn't have started eXp. Like there would have been no need. I would have been exactly where you are. And by the way, I guarantee that, once your organization, I know your organization is in a good place, but once you're in a good place with your organization, your quality of life is going to be way better than mine. Like my quality of life, because I have to keep track of, thousands of people. I've got SEC stuff, all this other stuff that goes along with it. I probably, you just on that note alone, you'll probably live an extra 1 or 2 years. I've read the data, like CEOs running companies. I mean, they give up a couple of years of life at the end of their life, but yeah, and I enjoy it. I'm not complaining, but I think your quality of life will probably be better in a lot of respects than my quality of life.
And I think it's incredible you bring that up, Glenn, because a lot of people are always thinking, oh, more is more, right? And if we just amass all of this wealth, it's going to be for the better. But at the end of the day, it is about the quality of life and what you've given back to these agents in terms of this opportunity to grow their business and really have an asset that's going to continue to grow and grow and grow as time goes on. It's really incredible. So I'd love to hear the story from day one in terms of the first day you got your license up until the point where you had this idea to create eXp. You want us to take it back on this journey and really explain how it all started?
Yeah. So, 2002 was interesting. I created an internet company, a company called eShippers.com. We were an outsourced e-commerce logistics company, and we'd partnered with United Van Lines, Mayflower Transit, a credit card clearing service company called Card Service International. And we were basically building kind of like an Amazon fulfillment style company for small to mid-sized manufacturers and retailers. And so it was really a great business model, but I had an idiot business partner. He basically made the statement to me that he who has the gold makes the rules. And he had the gold and I had the business plan, and he wouldn't even, sign checks to put furniture in our offices. He was an avid golfer, so he wanted to put our corporate office in Phoenix, Arizona, when Unigroup in Missouri had offered us space in their actual offices for free, so we could be connected and aligned and really working together. And anyway, ultimately, at the end of the day, I became a dot bomber out of that. And so in late 2001, I moved back to Pacific Northwest. I had launched some websites for the local chambers of commerce while I was doing the eShippers project. And it was just my give back to the community, because I thought that there would be some value in having these chamber sites. Both the chamber sites got given back to me right about the same time that I moved back to the Pacific Northwest. And so I started to sell some ads on these websites to local businesses, and I was running around doing website development work. And one of the people I sold an ad to, $25 a month, was a local realtor, and his email didn't work. And so it hadn't worked for, I guess, months. And so I got it fixed in like 10 or 15 minutes. He said, hey, can you do work for me? I started working on his website, started generating some leads for him as an agent. And his name, Hugh Brawford. And he goes, and he was 65, I was 30, or he was 60, 62, 63, and I was 35. He says, Glenn, you need to get your real estate license. I'm like, I need my real estate license like I need a hole in the head. I was not super excited. I was getting paid $60 an hour to do website development work, and I was looking for my next technology project, but I sort of needed a job. But I told him, hey, I don't want to wear a realtor pin at the grocery store. I don't want to be, hitting up my friends and family. I'll help you on the internet lead gen side and work those leads. And he said, fine. And then I didn't get my license for about a month. And then he approached me and said, hey, Glenn, how come you don't have your license? I said, well, I get paid $60 an hour to do website development work. And he said, I'll pay you $60 an hour, go get your darn license. So I got paid $60 an hour to study for my real estate license exam. So I got paid $3,600, I think 6 times 6, is that 36? $3,600 to actually study for my real estate license exam. And then he guaranteed me $3,000 a month, as an agent on his team. And so he basically took every objection away that I had. And so that's how I got into business. The cool thing about it was that I put my blinders on, because I really wasn't at the beginning really excited about real estate, but I'm going, this guy's paying me, I better kick ass and take names. So that was, because I had a responsibility, just because he was taking this risk on me. It was certainly outside the box. And so that year, I ended up, from April 29th till the end of the year, I sold 17 properties just to clients that I met online. My first full year, I did a little over 210,000 in commissions. In 2003, 25 properties, $7.3 million in production. And then Hugh and I had a 2-year deal. And so that came up in March of 2004. And at that point in time, I had actually had numerous websites generating leads around the Pacific Northwest. And we were actually looking at, how do we build a team? And so we were looking at, we looked at Remax. Actually, we're getting ready to go to Remax. And then I met somebody, the guy that I was with. He was with Remax. He was one of the guys that was running sort of a team function for me. And oh no, he was at General Scott. We were going to go to Remax. And he said, hey, check out this Keller Williams thing. They've got kind of a team-friendly program. And so I looked at Keller Williams, and I looked at the Red Book and looked at their profit share program and go, okay, this makes sense. I can recruit agents. I'm generating tons of leads. I can do this anywhere in the country. Why don't I use this as a platform to do something? So that's how I got into the business. In 2004, I was the number 3 team in our region, in Keller. I was actually number 1 team in my office, but they ended up recruiting a team in December to join, and that had better production. And so that team got the top team award, which just pissed the hell out. That pissed me off big time. But the next year did about 60 million in production. 2006 did about 60 million, and then went independent in 2007 with a team-based brokerage model, and did about 73 million that year. And then we were on track to do about 100 million in 2008. And then of course, everything changed, July, August, and then Lehman Brothers, declared bankruptcy and all the other stuff. And then literally the whole game changed by September of 2008, and had to close a bunch of offices and then figure out what we were going to do next. And that was interesting too, because my assistant at the time, she kept on telling me that everything was fine. And then she up and quit one day in October. And I'm going, this is really weird. You don't quit when you've got a job and I, I wasn't paying huge, but still it was a job when everything's cratering. Log into bank accounts, no money, credit cards are totally maxed. She didn't have the heart to tell me. The only thing that she'd do is she just left and literally wouldn't answer her phone, wouldn't answer her emails. And because I think she was like, I messed up here because I didn't tell how bad things were. And funny thing was, as I solved it like a week later, if I would have known, I went and gathered a few friends and family around, raised a quick 150,000, got us through to 2009. But it would have been nice if she would have told me before I had to find out on my own.
Wow. So, and then that brought you to coming up with the idea of eXp.
Yeah. And so 2007 was kind of an interesting year, because 2006, I was in the top 50 nationally with Keller. And that was my 4th full year in the business, I think it was. And so, and I was recruiting a lot of agents. In fact, I was jumping on planes to recruit agents to both my team and to Keller Williams in general. It's just because I wanted to build some passive income for myself and my family. Something happened to me, I wanted some sort of nest egg. And so I was doing whatever it took to sort of grow that part of the business, because I thought that was going to be my retirement plan. And then I got my 1099 in 2007 in January. And I got on 184 people, about $6,000 in profit share. And I'm going, I was totally deflated, because I'm like going, this is not penciling for me. And so that's why we left. That's why we ended up leaving Keller and going independent. And but at that time, I said to the team, I walked down the hall and there were a couple of guys there, Lauren and Rob. And I said, guys, if we ever build a company, we're going to do revenue share, not profit share. And so mentally, the thought process for me was that if you figure out what your business constraints are or your business model is, if you can put in just a decent management team, they'll figure out how to at least break even. That was sort of mentally the game plan. And if they're good, they'll actually figure out how to make a profit. So I'm like, hey, everybody, almost anybody can break even. I figured like I can find some folks that can break us even. We'll put a revenue share plan in place. I'll get revenue share. Company will grow. All is right in the world. But so we talked about that in 2007. And so in 2009, after the housing downturn, we got an opportunity to sort of almost start with a clean sheet of paper and take everything that we had thought of from 2002 all the way through 2009 that we thought was broken about the business or could be significantly improved. We just said, hey, let's do that. Like, let's do that model that we know is the future model of real estate. And let's not wait for somebody to create it. Let's create it ourselves. Because, all the stuff that we're doing in eXp, and it might be a little naive on my part, but I actually believe that most people saw a version of this model in their head, that there's going to be a company that will do something like this at some point, because it just makes sense. I mean, the fact that you don't have to have physical bricks and mortar offices, the fact that you're sharing some revenue with your agents and brokers who are helping you grow, you're sharing some of the ownership with the company, all these things, makes intuitive sense. And if you were to ask somebody sort of just, what do you think the future, real estate looks like? They would describe some version of what eXp looks like, in terms of what the future state would be. And I'm like, why don't we just build what we know is going to be the future?
So did you, when you came up with it and you guys started working on it, did you actually visualize it, like in your mind, as the founder and, becoming the figure you are in the industry at this point? Did you see it going to this point back then?
Well, we're quickly approaching a number that I talked about back in about 2012, 2013, which is, I felt like if we could get to 50,000 agents over some period of time, like 20 years, that would be a home run. Like that would be like the holy grail of a brokerage. And now we're 47,000 plus agents. Might even, who knows? We might even be. I'm not looking at the numbers right now in real time, but based on how fast we're growing, might even be 48,000 this week. So we have a potential of being 50,000 by end of March, early April. I mean, that's sort of how fast we're growing, up from 41,000 at the beginning of the year. But I thought that would be a home run. And in 2012 as well, I think Jason Gessing and I sat with Stefan Swanepoel. And so you probably know Stefan. He's a futurist and an industry person, a coach, a mentor, all kinds of stuff for the industry. And Jason and I sat with him and said, hey, we'll be 10,000 agents by 2020. And it was funny because Stefan's like, bullshit. He's kind of like doing that. And he says, I don't believe you. I said, and Jason and I were like, we'd done the numbers. Like we knew, we saw our spreadsheets. We saw how many agents were joining every month. And we saw that we were growing, between 5 and 9% month over month. That was kind of our growth rate from basically the beginning. And we knew the value prop just made sense. So for us, it's like, I'm pretty sure we'll be there in 2020. And of course, in 2020, we ended up at, what did we end up? So it's 2021.
41,000, I think, by the end of the year.
Yeah, so we way undershot that number when we said 10,000. So
the answer is no. You didn't think it was going to go, because you said 50,000 is a home run, but right. Here we are. You got several agents in the company predicting we're going to 100,000 by the end of the year, and even 1 million over the next whatever. Right. I mean, so the answer is no. You didn't see it going to the extremes that it is.
Yeah, the short answer is no. Yes. I was pontificating.
And now, And now, Glenn, now that you know, kind of, you've penciled in the numbers now, I'm sure you look at these projections all the time. Where do you see it going 10 years from now? If everything works out at the same growth we're having now?
Yeah, well, I'll do some quick math. Let's just say we're 47,000 agents right now. We've been growing since inception by over 50% year over year, but I'll moderate that to 40%. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, big number. Like over 1 million agents is what I'm coming up with on paper here. So I think that, over the next 10 years, we certainly have the potential to be over a million agents. I'm showing 1.359 million in 10 years from today on a moderate growth rate. But this is, of course, worldwide. Of course, if that was just in the US, we'd have every agent in America working for eXp.
Right. So I was looking at the numbers. You guys released some early numbers, right? We're not reporting for another couple days.
Right. On Thursday, we'll do the actual reporting.
So how accurate are these numbers?
Yeah, top line revenue and net income, and those are all accurate. I think what we do, like $600 million in the quarter or something like that. And
$609 million in the fourth quarter. And just to compare, Remax did 72 million. Let's see. Yeah, 72 million versus 609 million.
Yeah, and you have to sort of normalize that a bit because Remax is really, they're just generating franchise fees. So they're and where we're actually reporting commissions, because we're actually the broker of record. Remax is just a franchisor, so they're not the broker of record, so they're not able to report all the numbers from all the transactions.
Oh, that's interesting. So do you think that gives us an advantage or a disadvantage when it comes to reporting earnings and so on and so forth?
Yeah, so I know you're a bit of an investor, Ricky. I've watched some of your videos, but are you familiar with the PEG ratio?
PEG, no.
PEG. So PEG is price earnings over growth.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a lot of people talk about a PE ratio, but a PE ratio doesn't really mean much unless you actually look at the growth rate of the company. And so for us, we put in the growth rate of the company compared to a Remax or Realty, whoever. Compass just filed their numbers. They're getting ready to potentially go public, and we're the fastest growing company across the entire real estate landscape from a growth perspective. So when you just those are the numbers I kind of look at, is like, we want to keep the pedal on the growth curve, and to make sure that we continue to power through it, 50, 60, 70% year over year growth rates, because we'll be able to 2, 3, 4 years, we start to add other services in a major way, mortgage, title, escrow, all those things. It starts to really play into a highly profitable enterprise by having so many agents on the platform.
Yeah, and just to go ahead for all the audience that's listening and tuning in, I just pulled up the investor presentation that was as of March 2nd, 2021 updated, and it's impressive to see the growth. Where were we at the beginning of 2016?
2016.
Well, that looks like a pretty small number. I'm looking at the graph myself.
Yeah.
yeah. That's like 1,000. It looks like something like that.
Yeah, actually 2016, we passed on February 29th, I think it was, because that was a leap year or whatever. So we actually hit 1,000 agents on February 29th, 2016.
Wow. And from 2008 to 2016, what was that like, growing the company, being a part of really a group of innovators that said, what, we think this is the future? What was that like? What was the culture like?
Yeah, it's similar to what it is today, just smaller. The difference is, when we were under, let's just say under 1,000 agents, I felt like I knew everyone. So our last major event that we did, that was eXpCon in 2019. And that was in Las Vegas. And so, Jason and I are there, we're doing the awards. Of course, there were others there as well. But of course, Jason had been with eXp since early 2010. So almost from the very beginning. And literally he and I are commenting, man, we know nobody here. Like we don't know, like in comparison to when we were under 1,000 agents, we like almost knew everybody. Anybody who showed up at events, we knew everybody, because, you know, only 20%, 200 people might show up in an event when we're under 1,000. So that would be sort of the peak of it. And now we have, you know, 3,000, 4,000, 2,000, well, 2,500 people in the room, and we know less than 1 out of every 10 people in the room.
That's what I think is so amazing, to be honest with you, because it's like the companies have all the middlemen, right? The franchisees, the regional owners, the broker owners, and all that. And we basically got rid of all that and go straight from the company to the agent, let them have the ability to basically be, in sense, a CEO of their own brokerage kind of deal. Whereas, you know, you build your network, and at the end of the day, like some of these guys, like Brent and Rick, like I thought about it. There's no way that out of the 10,000, 12,000, whatever agents they have, that they probably only know 100 or 200 or 300 or 500 at the most, if they have a memory of an elephant. It's just amazing, but they're making a huge revenue share on 10,000 agents. Not that they don't have influence and are doing everything they can do to help their entire downline. I mean, I talked to Brent, and it was really interesting because he said something that really hit me hard. And he was talking about how, of course, he took time out of his day to talk to me for a while, we're completely different sides of the road there, except for the fact that we're both owners in the company, right? That's what makes this whole thing work. But he was talking about how he will go out of his way to help people on his 18th level and his 19th level. And I said, yeah, that's cool, because then maybe your guys on your 7th level are benefiting, because the guys on their 7th level, that's people on there, and it's helping everybody all the way up. And he said, Ricky, it's not even about that. You know, it's like you said from the beginning, Glenn, it's about helping people who can't even help you or don't even have a chance. It's about helping everyone, not just because they can help you in return. So that's what's so incredible about what I think about this company, is because I could have started my own brokerage, right? When I left Remax, I could have started my own brokerage. I looked at that, but this is way better, way better. Like you said, if it was around, you wouldn't have started it. It takes all the liability off of us. We can literally build a company that's as large as one of these large brokerages, right? Have zero liability, ownership in the company, sharing the revenue. I mean, let's just take a moment, Glenn, and tell you thank you.
Oh no, you're welcome. No, it's fun. It was interesting, you know, back in 2008, 2009. I mean, I was looking around at the industry going, okay, where could we, you know, plug in that would provide all the benefits that we were looking for as a team, as an agent, and it didn't exist. And we're going, this blows, because we're thinking, you know, with this big of an industry, there's got to be a company we could be aligned with, that we wouldn't have to build it, but it didn't exist. And so we're going, okay, if it doesn't exist, then we better build it.
What year did you actually become licensed in all 50 states?
Probably 2016 or 17.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Man, I just imagine everything you went through and your team went through to go through all that, you know, to get to this point. To me, it sounds rough. To me, it sounds rough.
Well, it probably is. And one of the things I actually thought about when we launched it is, well, there's a couple things. One, Tom Peters was one of my people, somebody I studied for a long time. Just, you know, he wrote a book with another guy, Robert Waterman, back in the 80s called In Search of Excellence. And I used to listen to his audio tapes and just a lot of business insights and ideas. And he talked about this whole idea that, you know, it's all about making things and selling things. Like it's, you know, if you overcomplicate it, then it might overwhelm you. Like nobody even knows how to no one person knows how to make a pencil. But if you decide to make a pencil, you can pull a bunch of people together and they can figure out how to make a pencil, build the lead, you know, wood, whatever. But the flip side of it is that when you think about real estate brokerage, it's so fragmented. I just imagine that nobody in their right mind would ever consider getting licensed in all 50 states and all the different MLSs. And so for me, I'm like going, that's like awesome. Because if nobody else will do it, that means that it's sort of like blue ocean for us to go do something that everybody else would say is absolutely crazy. And so I kind of simplified my mind. I'm going, no, how tough is it to get licensed in a state, join an MLS, find a managing broker? And for me, I kind of just simplified it. And so it reduced the stress. But I know most, business owners, broker owners, or people who are thinking about going that direction, if they don't sort of have that mindset, they go, man, this is a ton of liability. This is crazy. Why the hell would I ever do this? And I'm like going, that's right. You're not going to do it. I am.
And Glenn, what's so interesting is that when I was joining back in early 2018 at this point, I'm in New York City. And I remember New York City being one of the final markets that you were opening up in regards to the MLS and opening up market share. And I just remember at the time, everyone around me said, Juan, you're going at where? I don't even know. I've never heard of this company before. And I don't even think they have a brand here. Why would you ever go out there and join there? And I said, because of the opportunity that we have. And if you look at it now, a lot of the objections we get with agents we speak with, it's eXp is too big. We see it everywhere. And it's at that point where everyone's joining. And I wish I got in 3 years ago. But when you look at it from the 10-year perspective, right? The opportunity that we have the chance to hit 1 million agents over the next 10 years. Well, at that rate, we're not even at 5% of total market share. So I think people's mindset really holds them back when they look at this from a long-term perspective.
Well, and the other thing I think you have to think about is that real estate is a high turnover industry. So when we think about, 1 million agents, 10 years from now, think about how many agents will have joined and how many people would have left the industry in that same period of time worldwide. We're talking about tens of millions of people. So even if we were at 1 million agents today, let's just say we were at 1 million agents, you think about the idea that you could still join today and you still could build an organization, in my mind, that could be 10,000 agents over the next 5 to 10 years as an agent and be totally set, based on the value you're providing to the marketplace. So if you're providing value to agents and brokers and you're helping them grow, they'll want to join your iteration of the platform. And there's no reason why somebody couldn't build a 10,000 person organization, 20,000, 50,000, potentially even 100,000, given enough time and given the type of value that they bring to the marketplace.
Just to clarify, I want to go back to the earnings real quick, just to clarify for people that are listening to because when you mentioned about the commissions being figured into the revenue, I just want to make sure that listeners don't think we're cooking the books over here. So I want to bring it back to the actual net profits, 2020, which for eXp was 31 million. That's what we have reported here in this article I read. And for Remax, it was 11 million. So you got Remax making profit-wise, after all said and done, less than $1 million a month as a company, profit-wise. And we have eXp, 12-year company versus a 40-something-year company at 31 million in profit last year. Just amazing, man. Just incredible.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I mean, we five profitable quarters in a row. I can't make any predictions. We don't provide forward guidance, but I'd be hard pressed to figure out how we wouldn't continue to be profitable for the foreseeable future, because our model is designed in such a way that all of our costs are variable. So we don't have, like, if you think about somebody who owns a bunch of offices, so you look like Compass, I'll pick on them because they just filed their S1. They lost over $200 freaking million. Yeah, they did more revenue than us. They did whatever they did, 3.9 billion in revenue, which is, again, commissions generally over the last 12 months. They grew at a slower rate than we did, but they lost, I think, something like $236 million or something. And that the reason why they're going to have challenges where we won't is they've got so much fixed asset, bricks and mortar leases, and all the other stuff that goes along with it. They've got to go public just to raise enough money to make sure they've got another 3 to 5 years of runway, and then they're going to hopefully, probably hope to get acquired by someone else who wants to be in the space. I have no clue how their model is going to scale.
Mm-hmm. What was our largest loss for a year?
I'm not sure. Prior to 2017 or 18, we one of the ways we calculated our stock options expense was using what's called the intrinsic value method, which I objected against, but our auditors at the time said we had to use this methodology. But basically, every time the stock went up, it would in value, you take the number of options we had out that were all set in 2012, and they'd multiply the delta times the number of options. So we might have a $20 million artificial loss in some quarters just because of the way the stock options were valued. So we ended up, I think last year or the year before, our newer auditors actually made us go back and redo all of our books because they said that was the wrong way to calculate options. I'm like, I know. And so we ended up having to redo them. But, it was, probably, 10, 15, $20 million, and when you sort of work it out, but even then it really wasn't, we were still cash flow positive that pretty much the whole time. I think we raised a small amount of money in early 2018 because we were starting to push up against like having just, $1 million or $2 million in the bank. So it's getting pretty low. And so our board was like, hey, we need more money in the bank. But, and so some of our agents and brokers put some money in. But other than that, we've been cash flow positive pretty much since inception.
That's incredible. And now, Glenn, you obviously know a lot about finance and equities. Is this something that you picked up along the years when you were in real estate? Did you learn it before? Did you have previous experience there? How did you get all this knowledge when it comes to stocks?
Yeah, I was a stockbroker back when I was actually 21. I got my license right after the stock market crash in '87. So that was, and then I was I still am a big CanSlim investor, which is the Investor's Business Daily style of investing. So I've done really well using that system of investing. So I understand a lot of that. And then my dad and I back in 89, 90, 91, 92, actually all the way through about 95, about 95, we end up helping about 10 to 15 companies actually become public companies. So we had a company called Request Financial Services where we'd help small companies that wanted to be public become public companies. So that was part of my experience back in the day. And it helps me as well because I know what the numbers are that investors are going to react positively to. And so it allows me when we think about modeling out our model, thinking about what is it that we're going to mix into the model to make sure that we hit some of those metrics that the types of investors I think are the best investors would want to be a part of.
No, and I could imagine how much it must help you when you're dealing with all your accountants and investment banker teams and everything, just understanding the ins and outs of what it takes to scale this machine that you've built essentially. Where do you see this on a day-to-day level? What does your day-to-day consist of in terms of meetings and meeting with your staff and things of that nature?
Yeah.
Hey guys, internet went out. It was crazy. It just completely dropped for a second. Let's go back because it's recording on my end. Let's go back. The last thing I heard you say was that you were cash flow positive for the year.
Yeah. So we were. Yeah. So we were. Yeah. Cash flow positive pretty much since inception. We had 2018. Cash got a little tight, and so we had to raise a little bit of money just to make sure we had a little extra cushion. I think we raised like $800,000 or something like that. Agents and brokers were able to take advantage of that, accredited. So that worked out really well for them. But for the most part, we've been, again, cash flow positive since the day we started.
Cool. And then what were you guys chatting about when
I was just asking Glenn. So what's the day-to-day look like now that you have such a large team, you're employing more than 1,000 people, and obviously you have to deal with a lot more things than you had to deal with back in 2008. What's your day-to-day look like as a CEO?
Yeah, it's actually a little easier today than it was in, say, 2016, 17, 18, because we have such a great team. I mean, Jeff Whiteside, who joined us a couple of years ago in 2018, he's been just phenomenal. He had a lot of experience back from the GE days, but just a really smart guy when it comes to sort of organizing and finding the right people and that type of stuff. So he's been awesome. Obviously, Jason, Dave, Stacy, Courtney, Michael Valdez, Curtis Dixon, we've got so many people that are in great positions in the organization, just making sure things work well. I still, answer every single workplace chat that I get in workplace. Starting to get a little bit, I'm getting hit up quite a bit from people.
How many hours a day do you spend on that?
I probably spend about 30 minutes to an hour answering workplace chats from people outside of my direct management team. So these are agents and brokers that are sending me notes and saying, "Hey, thanks for starting the company," or have you thought about this, or this is what's going on, or we just had this thing happen. So there's some crisis management in there, some just making sure I connect people to the right people. But I spend probably 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on the day, on that. And then the rest of it's with the team. And I'm working right now with Success Magazine pretty significantly, helping them sort of think about the how they're going to scale and how they're going to make the biggest impact they can make. And then also thinking about how does that lend itself to eXp, because it's really another competitive moat that nobody else has. I mean, you're like Ricky, you and Juan, you guys are owners in Success Magazine. So
right. It's incredible, man.
And I think to the listeners out there, I don't think many people are aware that you acquired Success Magazine just a few months ago, and it's really just a huge value add to everyone that's already an owner in the company. Where do you see that company kind of playing a part of in the future with our growth and what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, we're already starting to leverage it a little bit. I mean, we've got some keynotes that are coming because of Success Magazine inside of eXp Realty. So Jamie Kern Lima is going to be, well, probably should wait to announce it, but she's going to be one of our keynotes, but she's also going to be on the cover of the magazine. And there's just a lot of interesting people that, Success Magazine just means so much in the personal development space. And if you think about, I mean, real estate happens, we sell real estate, but we're really in the personal development space, but we monetize it through helping, buyers buy and sellers sell. And so the more that we can sort of lean into, improving ourselves, making ourselves better people, better individuals, better at business and life, we're just gonna be able to help more people. And so it really is foundational from that perspective.
Do you, the stockholder events, you guys, we do those twice a year, right?
Correct.
Yeah. See, I'm still learning this because I came in right at COVID. We did it virtually. Then we did the next one virtually. And we're doing this one in May, right? Virtually.
We are. Yeah. So we're doing this one virtually. In all likelihood, we'll do eXpCon this year virtually. And then my guess is that 2022 will be back to in real life events, which I can't wait to do that, because
Oh, me neither.
it's and my guess is if you think about it, we will have had 2 full years since we did our last company event, and we will have went from whatever 15,000 agents or something, or actually 25,000 agents at the end of 2019 to somewhere 70, 80, 90, maybe 100,000 agents by the end of this year.
You're going to have to get the Miami Dolphins arena.
Yeah. I mean, we could literally have 10,000 people show up at our next event.
Yeah. A lot of people are hitting me up talking about Vegas in fall. I guess people are kind of wishing and hoping, and they really want it to be an in-person shareholders meeting this fall, I guess. A lot of people are hitting me up about that, but I guess it's kind of a wait and see kind of deal, right?
Yeah, eXpCon. Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm doing a in real life event this week with Grant Cardone, and Grant. I was just talking to him yesterday, and he had lots of people reach out to him, say, "Hey, it's a big risk doing an in real life event and all of that." And I think at some point we're going to have to pull the Band-Aid off. And with the vaccine getting out there and people able to make more educated risks on their own part, but I think we'll have definitely more liability waivers. If people come to an in real life event.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's all you got to do. I mean, if they feel like, they want to take the risk, then why not? If they're willing to take the risk and they want to, then why should we hold them back?
Right. So who knows? You might have just sold me on doing the in real life event later on this year.
Glenn,
We'll see.
So as we start wrapping up, we'd love to learn more about just personal hobbies, right? Business aside, what do you do for fun over there?
Yeah, so a little bit of a boater. So we've got a boat we just bought last August. We've only actually taken it on one trip. So that was, we did about 2.5 weeks on it. But since and that was right after we acquired it, and then it's been getting tons of work getting it ready for this next boating season. So we've got it now wrapped and up top, and we've got we upgraded the battery system and did a bunch of stuff. So we're excited about that. I've been a runner most of my life. So like this morning, I got out for a little over a 6 mile run, 6.2. I did a 10K this morning.
That's not a little run. That's not a little, that's not being a little runner. That's 6 miles that's a big runner.
Well, I used to run a lot of half marathons. Like 2015, I think I ran 6 half marathons.
Wow.
That year, and I like that distance, but right now there's not a whole bunch of road races to do. So 6.2 is about the longest I've run so far this year.
Do you go to the gym or just run?
No, I need to start. I was trying on some clothes a couple days ago and had some short sleeves on. I'm going, man, I do not have any guns right now. I need to spend a little time doing some biceps.
Ricky and I are going to fly down and start training you on the weights.
There you go.
Cool, man. Well, Glenn, hey, listen, appreciate your time, man, with your busy schedule and down in Miami in your hotel room. And we just really appreciate you, building this company, this amazing company, spending some time with us today, sharing a little bit about your story and everything. I know you don't have Instagram, right? Did you finally pull the plug on that? Did you rip that Band-Aid off yet?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram because I joined Clubhouse. So
yeah.
I've been doing the Clubhouse, and Clubhouse, is highly connected to Instagram. So
right.
So
you finally got one, huh?
Yeah. So and since January, I'm up to like 2,500 followers or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I'm gonna go ahead and share it really quickly, just so everyone could go ahead and reach out to you. Do you answer all of your DMs like Ricky and I do?
No, I've got somebody starting to check my DMs, and I'm looking at I don't know, it's called Instagrammer, or actually there's a like a automated bot to answer messages, because I have a lot of people writing me every time I go on Clubhouse. My Instagram blows up on the DMs.
I love it. So for everyone listening,
that's good. Yeah, look at that stud, man.
Yeah, check him out. For everyone listening, Glenn's going to be speaking live at the 10X Growth Conference. So definitely check in on him there. If you want to go ahead and reach out to me and Ricky, you need any help, whether you're an agent locally, nationally, or worldwide, and you need any assistance collaborating and growing your business, reach out to us. You can find me on Instagram at Latino Agent. Ricky, where can they find you?
Yep, I'm still answering all my DMs. So that's why I asked you that, Glenn. I answer all my Instagram DMs personally, and I spend about 2 hours a day on that. So that's kind of why I was wondering how many hours you spend on that, because I spent a lot of time there just going back and forth one-on-one with people that just need help or asking questions, or like you say, reaching out and saying thanks and stuff like that. And
well, maybe I'll do an auto reply and say, hey, I don't have time to answer you, but if you write Ricky, he'll get back to you.
Yeah, no, I know. I actually had some auto reply stuff there for a while, but I do so much business in there. I bring so many agents over, help so many agents, do so much business, in there. So that it's time well spent for me until I get to the point where I can't, right? There'll be a day where it'll be way too much, way too overwhelming, and there's no way I could do 4 hours or 5 hours a day. There's just no way.
You should think about doing a 0 to Diamond clubhouse if you haven't done it already.
We've got one going. I've got my team. They're kind of running one, and
Okay.
step in there every once in a while. So yeah, the the sad part there is they're not on Android yet, and I'm an Android lover, and so I actually took my wife's old iPhone and I literally it's just for Clubhouse for me. So I don't get on there as much as I would if I was getting notifications and, if it was right there on my phone, so I don't know if I haven't even checked to see if it's on Android yet. I don't think
Yeah,
I still think it's,
they're working on it. Yeah, but if you've
Yeah.
got an iPad or you've got obviously somebody
Yeah.
else's old iPhone, you can jump on it. But it's pretty cool platform. That's how I met Grant, and I've met a bunch of people, on that platform.
Oh yeah, I've been on there. I've been on there and done some events and talked to a lot of people. It's incredible. I mean, it really is. But you got to have some time set aside if you're going to go on that app, right?
There you go. There you go.
You got to really be locked in and ready to spend a good chunk of your time. So that's the problem with me a little bit. But no, I'm going to spend a lot more time on there over the next couple months because I think it's really, really powerful, especially now where you can't have these live events. It's kind of takes place of it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
So,
Well, guys, hey, thanks for having me on, and let me know if there's anything I can do to support you guys in your business. You guys are obviously knocking it out of the park, but just let me know. You know how to get a hold of me.
absolutely, man. We're just glad to be partners with you. We'll talk to you soon, bro.
Thanks,
Okay,
bud.
awesome. Okay,
Take care.
Okay.
thanks, guys.